I'm going to just go ahead and put our blue sky in. And I think I'm going to grab some of my blue here. I think I like that for the water. Whatever blue you have, we're going to go ahead and get that in. And I'm going to go along the top on dry paper. Let's keep it simple. Now I'm going to find the edge of the mountains. So I'm actually pressing a little harder on my brush so it gets an irregular edge like that. That's kind of fun. And then I'm going to bring it down just like this. And then I might bring it back up over here. So now I've got some mountains. Very easy. I can either use my brush or a piece of paper, and I think this might be kind of fun. I have a little torn piece of paper like this. And I'm going to keep, our snow is going to be the white paper. So we have to leave some of that. I'm going to make another little puddle over here. So I'm going to take my brown and a little blue. Now I don't have a lot of colors in here, but I'm looking for a rock color. And that's my combination that I usually like to make. Now I could use a brush, but what might be really interesting is to take my little piece of paper like that. I'm going to actually get it wet, treat it almost like a brush. And I think I'm going to give this a try. And I'm going to just kind of touch the paper here and there. Look at that. Isn't that fun? And then maybe I'll do some over here. And even if some of that sky color runs down, that's okay too. And if I want to make it stronger, like get more color on there, that's okay. That way we get some of those crevices and rocks, and I'm just barely touching the paper. And if I want a different size, I can even tear this down. And before we get carried away, what we might need to do is start thinking about the bottom down here. Maybe I'll make another little crevice right there. So I'm painting with a little piece of paper. That's fun. And I'm going to think about, we're going to have our little, I'm going to actually tap it so it's not too much of a straight line. We're going to make rocks down here. I could use a brush, but I think this is just fun and different and unusual. Okay. And maybe it's getting a little too wild there. So I'll take my brush, scoop up my color. I'm going to tap off the extra water, otherwise it can get too much. And I'm going to use the belly of my brush, which is the fat part. And then I'm going to just skip it over the paper, like tap, tap, tap a little bit, because I'm thinking maybe that'll give me the impression of some snow here and there without overdoing it. I don't really want to paint it on. I'm just touching a few little spots and see what happens. See, I'm just like carefully touching that. Just a little bit. Now I like that. Okay, so I'm liking this a lot. And then I'm going to take some of that sky color. And since it's a snow pond, the color is a little different. It's not necessarily exactly the same color as this. So I'm going to get a bit more water on here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I'm actually going to paint it on. I'm going to hold my brush just a little differently, like that. You could always just make a giant circle and make a pond, but if we wanted to, we could make it come out and be creative like that. Now I'm not thinking about the trees yet. I'm going to paint right over where those trees are going to go. And then I'm going to bring my water all the way down. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. I like those colors in there. And so as that's drying, I might drop in a little more color. Bring that over there and just kind of have fun with it. And then bring it down. Now if I take that darker turquoise or other blue similar to this here, and if I go in around this area, you know, just barely sweep back and forth, that might give me the reflection of what I've got up here, just to have some fun with it. And I like how that's mingling because that's going to give me that reflection. And I really am having fun doing this, but I don't want to get too carried away, so I should probably stop. Now, thinking about the trees, I can't really do the trees just yet in this area because that's really wet. But what I can do is think about the trees up here in my little mountain. So I'm going to go ahead, maybe go to a smaller brush, or I can even go back to my little piece of paper. I never thought about painting with paper before. So I'm going to go ahead, get some of my teal color, and I want to get my trees in there, but I don't want it to be the same color as the lake, and I don't want it to be the color of the sky, and I don't want it to be too green. So I think, what if I'm going to take the green up here, bring it in, and that is pretty green, so I might take a little brown to tone it down. Now you're going to find whatever color that you really like, and then I'm going to go ahead and touch the very edge. Do you see how I'm holding my brush more flat like that? And what would be fun is even if it touches the color and starts to run a little bit, but I don't want it to just take up the whole water. I'm leaving a little white space just like that, and then I might even bring it up. I'm not trying to paint individual trees just yet. I'm just giving the impression of the color. Maybe I'll bring it up a little higher, like that. And what if I took that little piece of paper, I'm looking for a torn edge, and what if I take that paper like this, and maybe get some of that green. Let's see. Like I can do a few of those, or maybe even turn it around, find the shape that you like. So I'm actually going up like that. That's kind of nice. Just play with it. And I might even go up to give the impression of trees. That's kind of fun. Or dots. That's fun too. I like that. So now you can decide if you like using the paper, do you like the dots? We have all those options. And looking at this here, that might be fun to give the impression of rocks. So I'll think about that in just a second. And then I'm going to see what happens if I just touch the top like this. Instead of trying to paint all the trees on, I could do this. That works too. That's kind of fun. And maybe touch a few of those edges so they don't stand out too much, but they stand out just enough. Then I might bring some of those down here. We can always add more details, and I could, if I wanted, is go to even a smaller brush to get more details. I think I'll turn this into some rocks down here. Since I really liked that up there, I'm going to use my paper again, see if I can get those little cracky rocks in there. And that way just the edge of the paper is touching it, so it creates really wonderful natural rocks without it looking overdone. And if it looks too busy, we can touch some of those edges with our brush, so it breaks it up a little bit. And it might be fun to get a bit more color in there in the water. So I want to work on the trees, but let's see, I'm curious. Let's go ahead, take some of our sky color, maybe mingle it into some of our tree color. I'm staying away from the brown. And what if I go ahead and put a little bit in the water down here to give it its reflection. So I'm layering the color. And I don't want to do too much, just a little bit. Get a dark green. I could use the green that I have in my set. I'm going to add some blue to it, but I'd like it to be just a little darker. I'm going to go ahead and maybe go a little tall like that. And then now I could make it go a little darker. I could get some indigo into this, or just a darker color if you have, like, we could put a little black in there if you want. I just don't want the black to overpower it. So I'm taking my little, I like the look of the paper. We could also use a brush. Ooh, that's kind of fun like that. Just like, do you see what I'm doing? Is barely touching the paper and skipping it like that. That's fun. And then as we get down here, I might make it go a little flatter. So it really depends what kind of tree you want. I always think of the branches going in a different direction. And maybe I'll put a smaller tree down here. And right in this area, if I don't want that stroke, I mean, I don't mind it, but if I don't want it, maybe I'll just touch it with water. What if we had, let's see, this is all wet, but I'm thinking, what if we had like a great big, let's take a look at that, like a big stick or a dead tree there. Let's see if we like it. Maybe I'll just bring a few more things down here. And maybe I'll go to a smaller brush, put a tree in, whatever feels good to you. I really like it when it hits that damp area there and it bleeds. That's kind of fun. So now I think that is pretty good. Do you think we need to add anything else to that? Great, that was a great one. I'm so glad.